Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. I appreciate you picked a great day to join us. Today is orientation day. So over the next 2 weeks, Monday through Thursday, we will cover all the applets inside of Command, 1 hour session. And we take a deep dive into everything. And it's led by your local Market Center tech trainers. You see on the screen a list of the Market Center tech trainers for the region, right? I also have your Market Center number there. I do ask that you add your Market Center number to your screen name. It allows me to keep track of who's in attendance and when I'm talking to people, so I can reference you back to your Market Center tech trainer. So I found over, things, what happens when we make assumptions. I have found that a lot of people don't know what their Market Center numbers are, and they think it's their broker number. Our Market Center number is our KW number, and that is literally in the order that we add Market Centers to the region. So we actually have higher Market Center numbers than we do have Market Centers because I don't reuse those numbers. So our lowest or oldest version, right, Barbara? No, this number 29 Market Center of all of KW. So right, so kudos, that's an awesome achievement, right? And then we have 1105, which is our Roanoke Market Center. I don't know if anybody's representing Roanoke right now, but that kind of shows you this how quickly and radically we've had incredible growth here inside of our region. So that's a little tidbit for you. That is how you know what your Market Center number is and what it is and how that correlates to KW. So today's a chock full busy day. It's always the busiest day as far as information goes. We're talking about orientation and orientation as far as the world of technology goes and our KW ecosystem. So I'm going to highlight and tell you to bookmark certain pages. We share this information. The Market Center tech trainers have all this too. They can always go back to, so don't worry about going crazy, but feel free to take screenshots, take notes, whatever makes you comfortable. I do have Market Center tech trainer on the call with me. So if you have questions, please use chat. Based on the amount of information I do have to get through today, I don't stop a whole lot of time today for real questions until we get to the end. And I will go open mic and make sure that we get everything covered, but I try to avoid stopping too much and rabbit holes, potholes during the session. So Shirley Zabo and Shelly Gregory are two of our Market Center tech trainers that are representing today. So they will be there to answer anything they can for you inside of chat. And then I'll usually check in with them to see if I'm missing anything that's glaring that I may have overlooked in the presentation. So with that, we're going to hit the road running today. Okay. So I'm going to talk about KW, and I always like to start with the big why. I think the big why is important. Actually, I think it's incredibly important because a lot of people don't understand why have we taken on this incredible burden of building a platform when we can maybe go out to the store and buy something. And it's a great question. And one that I had asked myself over time, because I've been with KW now 14 years as a realtor. That's my background, is real estate, not technology. But I've been with us that long that I've seen us migrate. And I've used the different platforms that were available to us over time. And I was fortunate enough to be in a room with Gary and Josh a little over 2 years. It was October of 18 when I was coming up to speed, and they were rolling out Command, and we were doing a tech roadshow. So I don't know if anybody saw me present or attended any of those technology roadshows. Were our first foray of kind of showing the associates in the field what was going to be coming our way. I had the same question like a lot of you. Why? Why are we doing this? Why aren't we partnering up? Why aren't we just using something that's readily available and establish those key relationships? And until that day, I didn't fully get it. I understand the story of we want to protect your data and we want to help you protect you from yourselves, right? And there's something different being in a room with Gary versus being in a room with 20,000 people with Gary and being able to ask him questions. And I'm not going to lie, asking Gary a question, if you've ever been able to do it, is incredibly nerve-wracking to even just raise your hand, right? It took me about 3 hours before I felt comfortable to raise my hand in that room and start talking to the man, because I've seen him squash some people. Right? He's very direct. He's very passionate about what he does. And, but it was pretty cool. But in that moment, in that room, I understood who I was talking to. I understand the passion behind why Command, why now, right? We were under attack, and we had been for a number of years, right? Joint venture capital was coming into our world from a real estate standpoint. Zillow had been there for a while, and a lot of people didn't understand how much of a threat Zillow possibly could be to us at the time. But a lot of people don't know that we used to partner with a company called Market Leader, right? They're a preferred vendor. They helped us with our EH platform when we had it. Most people don't know that Zillow bought Market Leader. That happened a number of years ago. So that was the first time Zillow fired a shot across our bow, right, to get into our data stream. Secondly, not too long ago, we used to partner with a company called Loop for digital signatures, right? And Zillow purchased them too. Now, I don't think there's any coincidence there, right? That's a straightforward attack, a blunt force attack. We understand these things from a technological standpoint, but that's what it was. They were attacking our agents, they were attacking our data, and all the while saying, no, nothing to see here. We're not interested in being a brokerage house, right? Have we all heard that story before? Maybe, right? We're not interested in being a brokerage. That was the storyline for Zillow forever. Well, that obviously was not true. And now our agents are really, really waking up to the fact, right? With that most recent acquisition from ShowingTime, when they went ahead and did that, they now have access to 1 million agents' data for showings and 300 MLSs. That really rattled some people's cages and really brought them back in to start to understand, wow, KW really was looking out for us all this time. Now, with that being said, we get the story of okay, we're protecting the data for our agents now. Will never be for sale, right? Our data will never be for sale. Command will never be for sale. And we partner with certain companies that will sign our data pledge. So you guys all have one of these? Everybody now has one of these, right? I think. Cell phone. When you download an app on a cell phone, do you pretty much agree to give away everything? Do you read all the small print? I don't. I'm gonna be honest. I don't read the small print, and you agree to everything: locations, photos, communications, right? That's what that data pledge is happening between you and that service provider. KW is a little bit different. In order for a company to partner with us on the back end, plug into Command to a degree, they have to agree to our data pledge, which means your data, our agent's data, will always, unequivocally, always belong to the agents, and they can't take that data and do anything with it. So that's why we don't have an incredible amount of companies plugging in like you do on your cell phone, because a lot of companies aren't going to agree to that. And we're not going to agree to their set. So Command, built for agents, built by agents, built to protect the agents. That's the story. That's the big why. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Has it been easy? No. Has it been a challenge? Sure. Building a live platform, which is what we're doing, right? Beta testing all along in the back end, beta testing real life situations, because you can't really know what you have until you go 180,000 agents strong into something. And every time we change something, we break something else. So there's a pain threshold. But understanding the why, I think for you as the associate to have a little bit of understanding and forgiveness as we radically change the industry and radically roll out something for us, for you, going forward. So I like to paint that picture. I hope you found that valuable and helpful to understand why, where we're coming from and where we're going. So with that, all that said, let's talk about what you have at your disposal now. So inside of KW, what do we have? We've got a couple of things, and we're still migrating from some older platforms as we build everything into Command. So there's a couple of access points. Some you'll utilize regularly, some you won't use at all, and it may be a one-time thing. So on the region level, we set up a lot of things for you. Your market centers will use a company called Scott Leroy Marketing to a degree to do some of the one-off things and heavy lifting for you. That's a partnership that all the market centers have in our region. They do a great job, setups and training and all kinds of things like we do here too. First, we're talking about email. Your KW email is the Gmail platform. So when you create a KW email, when you get one created for you, you're going to access that email from the Gmail platform directly, right? You'll log in with your KW email and password that you create. You'll be off the ground and running. Most of us at this point knew how to use Gmail. I want to pause and talk about email because there's important elements to that from a professionalism standpoint. Does anybody use @Gmail as their main real estate email? And if you don't want to raise your hand, I understand. Does anybody still use @AOL or @Hotmail or Livewire, right? What we call free mail, right? It's free mail. You're all individual business owners now. Congratulations for being an entrepreneur. A lot of people don't look at themselves that way, but that's what you are. Your email says a lot about you, right? If you're using Gmail, I dare to say that I find that a little bit novice, a little bit unprofessional, right? I sell homes at gmail.com is not something I think you as an associate should be utilizing in your business. At a minimum, you should use your David Donaldson @kw.com, Okay, that says who you are. You're a realtor, you're with KW. And above that, if you have built a team or are an LLC, okay, I don't dive too deeply in this other than that I tell you that there are some rules you have to abide by. You cannot just start marketing yourself by Homes by Donaldson, right? I can't legally do that. It has to be attached to my LLC, has to be attached to my brokerage, has to be on my license, then I can market in such an entity. And I might have an email associated with that, david@homesbydonaldson.com, because I own the domain name and I can have a Google Suite account around that. Completely fine, completely legal in the world of KW goes. But there's some brokerage approvals that if you want additional information, go back to your broker and talk about those things, about how you can configure that and why you might set that up. So there's value. Okay. Then there's KW Connect. Think about KW Connect as your YouTube channel just for KW. We do a lot of video training. There's a lot of information in there. It's going through a metamorphosis to get even more proficient for us and will be tied into command at a higher level. But it's a great avenue for you to see all kinds of training and access training. And we'll walk through that here in a little bit. I'll show you some of the high buttons. Agent.kw.com. That's your login to command. Okay, that's you use your user ID and password. You all have one. And that's how you will get into your command platform, agent.kw.com. And then there's something that I have really passionate about, answers.kw.com. Think of that as Google for all things KW. And it's no longer just, I used to say it was command, Google for command. It's really for all things KW. It's an incredible platform. It's a living, breathing document that we have people writing live articles all the time, enhancing articles and tips, tricks, and how-tos and videos, step-by-step fact pages of troubleshooting, utilizing, enhancing. It's an incredible tool. Also, a component of that is you're supporting a ticket if you're having trouble with something. And I'll pause here and I will always tell you, if you think something is broken, something is not working the way that you want it to, the very first person you should talk to should be the person that's on this screen. Your Market Center Tech Trainer is your first stop for support. And the reason why I want to bring you to them in your Market Center, okay, is for a couple of reasons. There's really three elements when somebody says something's broken, or buckets, that I will typically say this is probably where it falls. The first step, it may be a training. You may be asking for or trying to do something that you don't know how to do yet. You think you can walk your way through it, which is possible, right? It's a pretty comprehensive synthesis, not difficult, but comprehensive, okay? But you may be looking for some training. Your Market Center Tech Trainer can help you, either through a one-on-one or steering you to a help article or steering you to a video or a recorded training just like this one today, where you can get up to speed of what's going on. The second bucket is that you might be looking for it to do something that it doesn't do yet, what we call a feature request, right? So we have a website called ideas.kw.com where agents can actually go in and recommend the platform and enhancement built by agents, right? We can go and you can vote on something that's already suggested, or you can completely say, it should be doing this. This would be awesome. I will tell you that Carl and Jason and Chris and Gary, every Monday, actually go through ideas.kw.com and see what the agents are voting up, what they're suggesting, and where do they want to see the platform go. They take this very seriously. All right, so those are the first two buckets. The third bucket is it might actually not be doing what you need it to do. Therefore, it is down or broken or a functionality issue that we need to send a support ticket in. We don't send emails to support anymore. Actually, calling support can be troublesome, and actually getting online through chat, which we'll look at, can be a challenge because most people that jump into chat, okay, are looking for a training issue or a feature issue, but we have to answer everybody, and it bogs down the chat. If anybody only just went to chat for support related issues, they'd be much more responsive. But the amount of agents that go there for all three of the things I just talked about bogs that down, and they do respond back to everybody, and that takes time. So the first line of defense for you in support actually is your Market Center Tech Trainer. So they are there to help you. All right. So I think that's really important that you guys gain some clarity around that. Self-advocacy is your best friend. And it's not always easy for everybody, but the more you can do on your own, attending training like you're doing today, looking at the Connect Live trainings that are there, rewatching a video, right? Looking into things on your own. I can't tell you how many times I get an email from somebody looking for something, doesn't work, it's not functioning. And I pause. Typically I pause because I'm doing something else or I'm on a call or I'm training. But that pause, because that lack of immediate response forces them to look into things a little bit more detail. Now, maybe they talk to the Market Center Tech Trainer, or maybe they self-advocated for themselves to look into something, and then they found the answer. A lot of times our agents are like, I need this now, and they don't think through the process of how they can resolve it on their own. So self-advocacy, incredibly available and important to you, okay? So we touched on these elements of where you can self-advocate. AnswerStackKW.com, the Command Help, KW Connect, Scott Leroy Marketing, right? That's spelled wrong. Not the Renial YouTube channel, but the regional YouTube channel. Yeah, Shelly got a kick out of that. And the regional Facebook group. All right, so you see the links on the page, but I'll bring those up, and we'll, Shelly, if you would put those two links into chat for me, I would appreciate it. The regional YouTube channel and the regional Facebook group. I do recommend that you guys all belong to those for a couple of reasons. One, I'm vain and I like as many followers as I can get. I'm just kidding a little bit. YouTube, we post live updates and trainings all the time about things that are going on or how to, right? So that's a great place to go. There's about 1,000 followers right now. It's a great place to ask questions. Everybody supports each other in that system. Secondly, if you follow us on the YouTube channel, all these recordings and trainings that we do, and you subscribe to that, you'll get notified when we post a new training. So it's a great way to stay up to speed on everything. Scott Leroy Marketing also has great videos and trainings. And as I mentioned, all market centers have a relationship with Scott. So to log in to Scott, ScottLeroyMarketing.com, there's a login button. To log in to Scott, all you have to do is put your market center number in. So again, that's why I took the time to kind of say, hey, here's your market center number. Because when you log into Scott Leroy Marketing, that's all they're going to ask you for is your market center number. All right, this is kind of a little flow chart. When you need support, you go to your Market Center Tech Trainer. Your Market Center Tech Trainer will then direct you with training, a feature request, or say, yes, we need to support, you need to help you provide a ticket, okay? They'll put that ticket in to get you taken care of. Now, if they deem it necessary, right, and don't take this personal, but your hair on fire, okay, may or may not be a hair on fire event for all. It's incredibly important for you, and I don't want to minimize that, but sometimes things take a little bit of time for us to research it and find out if a ticket needs to happen. Your Market Center Tech Trainer has the ability to escalate things to me directly. Say, hey, this is going on. We see this as a global related, or this is a Market Center wide, it's a regional wide thing. They'll bring it to my attention. If you're not getting a resolution within 48 hours, they'll bring something to my attention too, because maybe you haven't heard back. Then they'll escalate things to me, but they can't escalate everything to me. So they're being trained on how and when to escalate things directly to me, okay? Your team leaders, your local leadership will also funnel all of their issues through the Market Center Tech Trainer, because your Market Center Tech Trainers are hearing from me daily about things that might be going on in the background that they need to know about that might affect you. So that's, again, always your best resource to find out what's going on. Your Market Center Tech Trainers will always be up to speed because they have direct access through a Slack channel for up-to-date troubleshooting or things that might be happening. When it does come back to me, I then have the ability to escalate things and look into them into a deeper level. And I've had some success clarifying things or fixing things that some of you may have been experienced to over time. So that's how the support network works for us, and it's working pretty well. All right. Now, I'm going to jump into the platforms now. I'm going to bring up my screens. And the first one I'm going to bring in. Are you guys seeing my screen? It went away from the slides, went to, okay, awesome. Thank you. MyKW.kw.com is our old platform. It goes by different names. E-Edge was what something was referred to a lot, but this was our partnership with Market Leader. This was our platform that we are migrating away from and transitioning into Command. But there are still some things on it from an access standpoint you may utilize in your market centers or in your day-to-day business. So I want to make sure that you're configured properly. So I'm going to show you a couple of things. Underneath here, you're going to see your profile. Your profile, this populates what are called white pages. So when you look up associates inside of KW, okay, Your contact information, your market center, any roles you may have will fall inside of the white pages so you can look people up, okay? Filling this all out, adding your photo, your market center will, if you have any roles, like if you're an ALC or an investor or your market center tech trainer, they'll update these, right? So make sure this is accurate, but you can go ahead and upload your photo. So I encourage you to do so. Put all of your contact information in here. You no longer need to verify your mobile carrier. That's not necessary anymore because it comes directly from command, but you do want your contact information in here. You'll see a biography. Over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to talk a lot about the importance of biographies because you actually will have two inside of your platform. You're going to have an agent-to-agent bio, okay? And then you're going to have an agent-to-consumer bio, okay? And that's what this is here. This is to consumer. They tell two different stories. Now, in the beginning, they may be one and the same. But as you develop, you're going to go through certain elements of training through KW. You're going to drink our Kool-Aid, right? You're going to become members of the ALC. You're going to go through Ignite. You're going to go through Bold. You're going to go through different types of trainings. You're going to get certifications that the general public is not going to know what you're talking about. They care about who you are, where you're from, what you've done. How am I going to connect with you, right? And then over time, what's your transactional history look like? Don't be paralyzed by fear if you're a brand new agent that you haven't done any transactions yet and that you won't get any business because you can't brag about your successes. Remember this. There are people on this call that have been here a little while, and I think you all relate to this. The great equalizer in real estate from a success standpoint is that everybody you look up to or see as successful in this business started with the same number of transactions. Does anybody know what that was? 0, right? I've been in this business 14 years. I was never a mega, I was never a rainmaker. That's not my history. My busiest year, I did close to 30 units. Okay, that was good. It was busy for me. And some people will get there, some people don't. But you all start with 0. So when you're talking to people in the public, right, coming from contribution, coming from where you came from and connecting with people with a background in your bio of your hometown, where you went to college, what you're passionate about, that will stand out. So don't worry about transactional units when you're beginning. Can you all agree with that with me? Awesome. All right, specialties. What's your background? You can't do all things. We all trip up, right? First-time home buyer and investor, secondary homes, retirement homes, military, green homes. It gets a bit crazy. What's your specialty? What do you do the best, right? You may dabble in all things, but you can't be a specialist in everything, right? You really become a generalist at that standpoint. Well, what do you specialize in? Okay. Filling in the blanks, your social media connections, that'll be there. Language is spoken. It's always good to share that because you'll be able to search for agents inside of KW. Hey, I need somebody that speaks Portuguese or Mandarin, right? We can find people. Then at the bottom, what's really important here is your password recovery email and your communication email. Your recovery email should be different than your everyday email in case you need to reset your login and password. So that's okay in your password recovery if that maybe goes to that free email service that's outside of KW's ecosystem in case you ever need to reset your login credentials. I like to separate those two. This should never be your market center's KLRW number. I've seen this happen where market centers are setting up people's accounts. They set that recovery email to them because they're trying to help them, but agents don't go back and change that. When they reset their emails, it's going to the market center. We want them to go to the associate. So that's something I want to know. So fill this out as completely and as diligently as possible, right? This profile will help you. And we're going to talk about a couple of profiles while we transition, and that's okay. So also from your KW homepage or mykw.kw.com, okay, you'll see the white pages at the bottom. So if you click on that, that's what will allow you to search through our entire ecosystem for agents all across KW, okay? And then you're also going to have an intranet. The intranet is still utilized in most market centers, and I'll click on that because if you have a market center calendar, right, it will push to your command, but they still have to load it here first. And not everybody's utilizing everything through command right now. So this is still your best bet for your market center. If they're doing this, you'll see this calendar of events here. And then that should update everything that's going on in your market center if they're using this. I don't know if all market centers still are. So check with your leadership, your ASC, your MCA, your MCTT, your TL, and say, hey, are we still pushing everything across? Because it may vary from market center to market center. Okay. And then under here, there's a profile button. If you are, what I encourage you to do is just kind of verify your preferences. How do you want to receive notifications? Like how regularly do you want to receive updates of notices from your market center? And at the very bottom is a subscription to the calendar. I live with it. It publishes across to my Google Calendar. Agents use it to publish across to their Apple Calendar. Set up that connection so you can stay up to speed with whatever trainings are going on in your market center. All right, so that's there for you. All right, I'm gonna come back to the home page. So that's my KW. So that's not as robust as it used to be. And some of these things at the top will bounce you to other platforms. But under technology, there's still a couple of live things. And the first one is making sure your email is set up. Okay, so you'll see a KW email button right here. So if it's been set up for you from Scott Leroy, you would actually go to manage your KW email. And in here, you can actually reset your email password. Now, you have a KW user ID and password, which will get you to KW Connect. It'll get you into Kelly. It'll get you into agent.kw.com. It doesn't get you in your email because our email is Gmail. So you need to make sure. Now, some agents make those passwords one and the same. Oh, I'm in a demo account. That's why this isn't, you aren't seeing this, so I apologize. But if you go to manage your account or set up your account, click on sign up. You will see it to ask you to choose a KW email address, which I'm not going to walk through for this demo account, but it'll give you some name options. I recommend you use your name. Even if you're running a team, I recommend that you use your name so people can find you, and it's very common. But first name, last name at kw.com. That's, if you're Jason Abrams, you're able to get away with Jason at kw.com. I wasn't able to get David, somebody already had it. But if you have a very unique name, some agents do, you might get away with just your name at kw.com. That's certainly possible, right? Set up your login and password, create your email, and then you literally just from here log into Gmail. Right? I'm not going to make an assumption at this point that all of you know how to log into Gmail. If not, I'm going to steer you back to your Market Center Tech Trainer and set that all up for you. All right. And then you would also come here once it's set. If you needed to, you could change your email password through this manage your email portal. Okay. Also under technology, there's a change password. That's changing your KW password, right? So your first password you get from KW will be auto-generated. It'll be a character string that may be complicated for you to remember. So you can come back in here after you're all set up through Scott Leroy, your Market Center. You can come in and change your password to whatever works for you, which will be 8 characters, 1 capital letter, and 1 like an aspirant or a number sign, a special character. That's your KW login password. So difference between email and password, okay? And that's where I'm going to retire our information on mykw.kw.com. I'm going to pause here and see if there's anything in chat. Shirley, is there anything in chat that I missed from mykw.kw.com? Nope. Okay, good to go. All right, so I'm going to close these out. I'm going to bring up another tab now. And I'm going to talk about KW Connect. Okay, so KW Connect, as I referenced earlier, is essentially our YouTube channel for KW. Now, there's a lot in here. I'm going to showcase the highest, most important things for our newer associates or agents from an education standpoint that I think you all should need to know about, okay? So there's a calendar here. So this first calendar that you see should, if your market center is publishing things to their intranet, it will push from their intranet to here. And that's what will sync across. The region trainings should also show up here, and KW trainings will also show up. So you can kind of go into these filters and filter through events or trainings by market center, by region, and they should be showing up in this calendar. They're still working on this. I'm going to say it's not perfect, but it's something you can reference. Now, the one thing that this doesn't do, and why I like the intranet still, is that I can't connect this to my iCal or my Google Calendar like I can the intranet. So that's why I still encourage market centers to still use the intranet so associates can sync all that together to their phones and their calendars, which we can't do yet for this Connect calendar. So that's important to know. Next, under training, okay, or resources, there's some overlap in some of these drop downs, right? But there's training, but I'm going to jump over to resources. First thing on the resources is Connect Live. So I call this Command Daily Live for us, but there's Connect Live, which is done by KWRI. And if you come here, and my best practice for this is maybe on a Saturday or a Sunday, or how's you wrapping up your Friday, whatever that looks like, is to come here and see what trainings KW is putting on from a international standpoint for classes that you may want to attend that following week and time block those events, right? Mondays, which is today, right? There's an open house. That's it. Now, you notice these are all central time. I don't know if anybody knows the difference, but we are 1 hour ahead. KW will always be in central time. So we'll always be 1 hour off whatever time frame KW is referencing. So you see now they're now doing like 3 or 4 or 4. They went from 2 to 4 different types of trainings per day. And here's what's really cool about this is sometimes you may see a familiar face. I've done a handful of trainings on KW, okay? And now your Market Center Tech trainers are starting to get showcased. So Kyle Holler and Ted Townsley and Jerry Trickey, which are 3 Market Center Tech trainers from our region, are now doing events for KW Internationals, which is really, really exciting and cool that our people are starting to rise and being able to certain events. And someday Shelly's going to be on there. Right, Shelly? Inside joke. But that's how we roll. So it's always good to see what's coming up in a particular week, right? Just like our Command Daily Lives, you have this event for you too. So I encourage our agents to time block these. And most of them, not all of them, most of them are recorded sessions. And if you happen to miss one you wanted to attend, there's a Connect live on demand. And usually within 48 hours, maybe 72, those sessions are recorded and reloaded back there so you can go back and rewatch them or watch the ones that you missed. So that's KW Connect Live, okay? Also in the resources, I'd like to point out to you, there's a marketing tab. I'm not gonna go down this rabbit hole, but there's 2 things in here that I like to point out. One, there's a logo and branding. It's a 33-page document, if you're ever in for some light reading, that talks about how you can legally use the KW branding material inside your business, because you can't just use certain elements. There's a very specific way to use them when you're building your brand, okay? And most market centers have a KW branded KW IDs and logos, and you can search for those through there, okay? And download all kinds of different versions of them, JPEGs, right? Clear background, PNGs, which are clear backgrounds, or all whites or all reds, or they don't have all reds, all whites, gray, black and whites, gray, black and reds, different versions of the logos and your market center logos for you to use in your business. So download and utilize those because you'll need them when you're building your brand through Command later on. Biggest thing there is understanding that what is a JPEG and what is a PNG. JPEG will always have a white box, right? So if you ever see the logo in a white box, it's a JPEG. If you ever just see the logo that's clear, that overlays on something, that's a PNG file. There is also EPS. None of you need to worry about that. If you knew what an EPS was, then you know what I'm talking about. EPS and vector files are for web designers and where they embed and code certain elements into their design. So sometimes you might get asked for that. They're available to you as well. All right. Under technology, okay, there's a Command Your Market Center, which is for Market Center leadership, but there's also Command Your Business. Command Your Business is a great place for you to go and take bite-sized pieces of training, okay? My classes are long-winded 1 hour sessions with Dave or the Market Center Tech trainers, okay? These Command Your Business are recorded trainings from KW where they chunk them down by applet, like we have here, okay? And then broken down into smaller bite-sized, maybe 7 to 10 minute videos of how to do certain elements within the Command platform. Right, so this is available for you too. That's more micro level on demand type stuff that's available for you as an associate. So that's Command Your Business. And if you're on a team, believe it or not, there's actually a Command Your Team training here as well. Or if you run a team. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about is your profile. There's a profile attached to this, and this actually will connect to Connect. Okay. If you go to your profile here, and you can set it up here, you can set it up and Connect. This is your agent to agent facing profile. On the last day of Command training, okay, we talk about referrals. And whether you realize it or not, that KW is the largest referral company in the world. Let that sink in for a minute. You belong to an organization that is the largest referral company in the world. 180,000 agents strong. I don't even actually know what the number of referrals that are passed each year, okay? This profile here is where you highlight your successes inside of KW or memberships or trainings, because that's where other agents, they will care how many bold classes you went for. They will care if you're an ALC or an investor or in leadership. Those things matter to agents. And again, I will tell you, don't get scared about production. You can turn on or off your production numbers. Okay. Now, for somebody that I do pass referrals around, and I don't always look for the highest, most productive agent in an area. Sometimes, if I have an agent that's set up all their things and they're new and they don't have any training, I'll still talk to them and see if that's somebody I want to pass my referral to. Because if you've done all this, I get that you get tech, so that's important to me, right? You get how to market a property, you get the value of technology. And I know if you're not fully into business yet, then you've got all kinds of time to dedicate to one of my consumers. So I might pass you a referral versus somebody that's killing it in business. Well, they may have leverage. I may think that somebody needs a little bit more one-on-one attention. That's an agent by agent choice that we all go through. But again, don't be paralyzed by fear that you haven't done anything yet, that people won't pass your referral, because they will. If you set everything up accordingly, okay, then you'll be ready to go to receive that information. And we'll touch on referrals in the last class. So I'm going to pause here. Any questions from the field, Ted, Shirley, or Shelly on KW Connect in chat?
No, sir. All good to go.
All right, great. And remember, we'll go open mic at the end if I miss something or something triggers a question later. Not a problem. Next, we're going to log into. All right. So once you log into Command, you actually, the first time you come in, you're going to land on what's called the dashboard. Okay. You log in with your KW user ID and password. If you forgot your password, there'll be a forget password button on that homepage that will reset to that password reset email that we talked about in the beginning. Okay. Now this homepage is the great first foray into what you're going to experience, and it's customization. That's one thing I love about Command is the full customization that it has to you as an associate. And you'll see the first examples right here on the homepage. It's for you, the ability for you to customize your homepage. If you click that customize, you're going to see a layout page. On the left-hand side are all the widgets. Widgets is the term we'll use, which are preset templates of display for you. We use them throughout the platform. But you'll see a list of widgets that are available to you to display on your homepage. Okay. You might select them all, or you might only want some. Like if you're not on a team, I don't need lead notifications or for lead RAM, but I have leads. I have a notepad if I want to use that, but I might turn that off. I've got my task. I like to have product updates on there. I'll show you what that looks like. If you set your KW goals, then how am I performing on my goals? Design updates, what's new from KW in our design world. And then on the right, once I check or uncheck, I'll see the layout. And you can actually see, anytime you see 6 dots, it means I can drag and drop or drag and move. Okay, so maybe I want my health score at the top versus tasks. And maybe I want my product updates at the top versus design updates. Then you click apply. And as soon as you do that, your home screen will change. Okay. And you can customize this at any time. Go ahead and play around with it, see what you like. But here's all these different elements, right? This is my health score. We'll talk more about that in context tomorrow. Tasks, right? We'll touch on that in context tomorrow too. What do I have to do today for people in my database? My goals and actuals, my goals versus that I set inside a command versus where I am on a month-to-date or year-to-date basis. Okay. On the right, I see product updates. When KW makes changes or enhancements to the platform, you see here March 17th, March 3rd, they tell you about it. Here's what we did. Here's what we fixed. Here's what we improved. Here's what we rolled out. Sometimes there's hyperlinks because there may be training behind it that you need to know about, but that's the product updates. Okay. And right below that are design updates. We touch on designs next week. You'll learn about flyers and social medias and magazines and listings and buyer presentations. Period pieces, St. Patrick's Day, women in business, right? They have all that information that they roll out, because right here what you see is women in business, right? There's a preview button there. There's a happy St. Patrick's Day. So they publish those things for you to use in your business to make notifications. So design updates is always good to see what's going on in the background. So that's your home screen. On the left, if you actually click on the KW button, you'll see all the applets, right? You're going to hear us. I think there's a big misnomer for a lot of people that they think KW Command is a CRM. Yes, it has a CRM. Okay. It's not a CRM. It's a platform. It's really like your cell phone, right? Because it has all these apps or applets plugged into the platform. And one of those applets is your CRM. We call that contacts. Okay, so tomorrow we take a deep dive into contacts. But on the left, you're going to see all those applets and how they're plugged in. Contacts, that's your database. Tasks, what do I need to do today to talk to somebody in my database or to advance a transaction through opportunities? Smart plans. How's my communication happening from in the background? What emails are going out, right? What phone calls do I need to make? What text messages are going out automatically happening in the background? Those are smart plans. We'll go into a lot deeper about that on Wednesday. Referrals, I just touched on that. There's a referral platform in here, okay? Passing referrals from one agent to another can happen in the back end. Opportunities. Opportunities is what I like to call your digital whiteboard. A lot of people automatically assume that opportunities means transaction to close or commissions. That is a part of it. It is so much more. Who's a whiteboard in their office? Right? Anybody still? Right? Those whiteboards can get quite messy, right? And your hands and your clothes can get messy. I'm looking at all those, not only the guys wear white shirts, but the girls that wear the white blouses and then they erase something, right? They get it all over their sleeve or their forearm, right? Updating those whiteboards can be cumbersome and take time. You have essentially what I call your digital whiteboard. It's not a KW term, it's mine, but inside of opportunities to see everything that's going on. Okay, we're going to touch on that on Thursday of this week. Reports, where are you at, right? How many emails do I have, right? What's my health score? We'll talk about health score tomorrow. And what's my closing? What are my metrics happening on the back end? Designs, social media, flyers, postcards, business cards, listing and buyer presentations, digital or magazines, right? We rolled this out. Anybody familiar with American Lifestyle magazine? We now have our own version of that, and it's better because it's a lot more customizable to tell your story, right? That's designs. Listings. All of your listings are automatically in the platform. All MLS listings are automatically in the platform, right? So this is great. Now, I will tell you this. You would like to think that it's an on-off button that happens in the back end to pull all listings for all agents. It's just not so. I'm a tech trainer, tech director, but I'm not a coder, okay? It's never as easy as that, and there's a lot of mapping that always has to be tweaked, enhanced on the back end. And if your listings aren't showing, okay, I want you all to take a look, okay, that when you go active on something, you should check my listings. If your listings are not showing up within 30 minutes, I want you to contact your market center tech trainer. Okay, they're going to send in a ticket on your behalf. And typically what I've seen is the first time. So I just need one listing for you to be provided to your market center tech trainer so they can support a ticket. KW will make that connection on the back end, and therefore going forward, all of your listings will show up without incident under what we call the My Listings tab. Now, your listings will typically show up under all listings until we make that map connection. So one time only, the first listing you take active, okay, it has to be active so they can see it. And I know how fast things are flying off the shelves, but be conscious of this to make that connection. And then under consumer, which is the last applet, that's your mobile app and that's your website. That's what we call the consumer experience, or we reference the Netflix experience for your consumer. So all of these things we will cover over the next 8 days in one training or another. Well, let's talk about some of the setup that you should happen across your front page, okay? Now, underneath demo, and this would be your name, okay? Right next to it, you see a marketplace. You can shop in the marketplace for other enhancements or connections that KW has. Command is free to you to use, free within a moniker, right? It's $25 part of your tech fee that you pay each month to the market center. But $25 is incredibly, I'm gonna call it free to you to use for a platform of this size, right? So, but on the back end, there's marketplace. There are other enhancements you can plug in through that approved vendor list that you may see in the back end. So we talk about, not in class, but I will post notifications about the great new things that are available to you, and your market center tech trainer will bring you up to speed. Different trainings, right, that maybe you might be able to go. Like one of them I will tell you about, there's a free DocuSign class. For the first time you use DocuSign, you can actually go in here and the command enablement team will train you how to use DocuSign. That's pretty cool, right? We do it in our market centers, we do it in the region, but KWRI is also saying, hey, we're going to train you on this too. So there is a DocuSign class that you can take through KWRI for your first transaction. Next to that is a bell. A bell means notifications, right? If you have a notification, there'll be a red dot with the bell. Is one of my consumers reaching out to me? Do I have an update on my mobile app? Did somebody register on my website? Did I download or need to update something? Or something happened I need to know about? This notification. And that leads me to one of the two apps that I'm going to tell you to download. We have an app, and you should all go into your stores, whether it's Play or App, Google app, right? Or Apple, sorry, and download an app called Kelly, Kelle. Okay. Now, Kelly, at this point, I will tell you and be honest with you, is not getting a lot of love or attention from KWRI. I want you to think of Kelly as this, and this isn't, I'm going to date myself a little bit here. Anybody know what a pager is? Okay. I want you to think of Kelly as your pager. Okay. She doesn't do a lot, but she will give you good notifications. Okay. So if you have a consumer reaching out or a new registrant or something's happening and your notifications on your phone are turned on, Kelly will buzz you and say, hey, this is going on. But inside of that, you can't do a lot with Kelly to call or video. You're going to want to log into Command for that. Okay. But Kelly is great for notifications. KWRI is building out what we're going to call Command Mobile. At least that's what it's being called now. They may change that. And Kelly itself will be sunset. Kelly will be our artificial intelligence algorithm in the back end, but you will no longer be the agent. I don't have an ETA or a time frame on that. Sorry, but I do know that they are labbing and testing what they call Command Mobile, which will be a fully integrated, command version for our associates on the go. Now, with that being said, I'm going to give you the second thing that I think you should download. Now, I'll tell this in two different ways. One, we're my Android users. Awesome. Okay. Apple people, you're special. I know. Okay. Our Android users, okay, if you log into Chrome from your phone and then go to agent.kw.com to log into Command, you can hit the three dots, okay, on your phone and do what's called add to home screen. If you click add to home screen, essentially what you've done is created a shortcut to log into Command, and it will function very much like an app. So if you get a Kelly alert, a notification, then you can go into Command and see what's going on and call or send an email directly. And it works great from tablet, works great from your phone. Okay, it's not an app, it's a cheat, but it works really, really well. So I recommend that you do that. Now for you Apple people, I don't want to show, if you're special, I get it. Add to your home screen will not work from Chrome inside of Apple, but it will work from Safari. So if you log into Safari, and you'll hear me talk at different times about not using Safari because it doesn't work all that great. It just doesn't. Command and Safari don't always get along real well, but on the phone, it seems to work a little bit better. But if you do the same steps I just talked about from Safari, you can add to your home screen and add a quick workaround or a cheat app for Command. Okay. So those are two important things that I want you to incorporate into your business. Now, to the right of the notifications bell, okay, we've got a couple things. I'm going to walk you through these here. So you're going to see profile. The first profile you see, okay, is that KW Connect profile that I talked about, which is your agent to agent profile. Agents trip up over this all the time. They see the word profile and they think this is what's going out to my consumer. It is not. And I've made some recommendations about change how this displays because that shouldn't be the first profile, but that's where it is right now, okay? But this first profile is your agent to agent profile that will pull from Connect. So you can edit it here or you can edit in Command. It bounces back and forth to each other. That's not a problem. I got a slow connection here on my side. When I stream, that happens. But I can tell you that's where it's going to. It's actually going, it would open up this page where I can edit and change my display from my agent to agent facing bio. Okay, so that's this first profile. Below that, you see settings. Now on your settings page, it's going to look a little bit different than my settings page. Okay, you're going to see a list here of, remember I told you the marketplace has apps, connections in the background. This settings page are going to be the priority applications that you're going to connect into your business. Now mine looks a little bit different because I have a lot of things set up already. If you're brand new and haven't done this, then your screen's going to look a little bit different because you're going to have to make some connections here. All right, typically the first thing you're going to see is DocuSign. I know not all market centers are using DocuSign. Some are still using .loop. Some use Authentisign, and that's fine. But if you're using DocuSign, you're going to want to connect the DocuSign account. okay? You'll walk through the step-by-steps, create a DocuSign account, and then authorize and sync the two together. The reason you're going to want to do that, okay, that'll allow DocuSign to talk to your command, which passes information back and forth. And then when we talk about opportunities, you're going to be able to take your ratified contract docs, load them to command from a compliance standpoint so you all can get paid. I think you find that a little bit important, right? Now, if you don't use DocuSign, that's fine. You're still going to use your opportunities the same way because I think all the brokerages, sorry, wrong word, market centers are using compliance now. So you can upload documents, whether they're inside a DocuSign or not, that doesn't matter. We can pull from .loop, we can pull from your desktop, that's fine. But connecting your DocuSign is important to start. Then you're going to see two types of Facebook connections. We'll touch on that under campaigns, but you're going to want to connect your Facebook profile. Your Facebook profile will allow command to see your business pages. I don't know if that's me making all that noise or somebody making all that noise. Sorry about that if that's coming from me. So you're going to want to connect your Facebook, and we'll dive into that under campaigns. Same with Twitter. Google Calendar, you can, at this point, tasks do not sync to calendars. But if I'm on a contact record and I click calendar, my calendar will open up and I can schedule something to do. Not a problem. Gmail. This is great. You can connect either your KW or whatever Gmail account you're using, and you know how I feel about the free mail Gmail, but your KW email at this point. When you send an email from Gmail, KW, to a consumer, and that consumer is inside of command, it'll track that you sent them an email. And you don't have to be in command to send it. It'll see it, that it's sent from your Gmail platform. So that's why you want to make that integration. And the same goes through if you're on Outlook or Office 365, it'll see that email communication and go back and forth and track that you've been sending them emails. So that's what happens there. PieSync. If you're using another platform or you need to pull data from like your phone, Google's a great example of this. We can use a third-party company called PieSync, and your first connection is free, okay? Or you have multiple connections, your largest connection is free, and it syncs data. Not all other CRMs agree to that, but a lot do. But I'll use Google as my example. So I have PieSync integrated with my Google account, okay? So anytime I add somebody to my phone, they will automatically import and get loaded into my command as a new contact. And if I update their communication, phone number, email address inside of command, I actually have it set up what's called a two-way sync. That'll update my Google contacts on my phone. Incredibly valuable tool. Now, at a higher level, if I am plugging into another CRM tool that works with PieSync, I can stream and pass data back and forth too. It gets a little bit more complicated than that, but in a nutshell, that's what PieSync is. If you feel that you need PieSync, okay, try it with your Google connection. It's very easy to set up. If you need something more dynamic than that, I'm going to steer you to talk to your market center tech trainer, or they can bring you to me and we can walk through what that might be setting up if you're pulling data from another platform. All right, below that, you're going to see three additional services. Two we're going to touch on here. Command email. You have a KW email. You also have another KW email. Okay, it's actually going to be your name. It's going to say agent 12345, which is your KW ID number, which most of you probably won't know what that is, but you can see that on your white pages. This is not an email you're going to market. It's not an email that you're going to advertise. It's an email that's going to send out automatic emails for you, okay, from KW, which allows the system to automatically send and track all that communication on the back end for you. So when your consumer receives it, they'll still see your name, but it'll be a different email address than they may have been experiencing in the past. Not a big deal because most people don't pay attention to that. They just reply to the email if they need to communicate with you. Okay. If and when they respond to an email that's auto-generated through a smart plan or what have you, okay, I do want you to set up the manage. Under manage, it's going to ask you for your reply to email. Okay. That reply to email should be whatever email you use, that Gmail or Outlook email that you use in your day-to-day business, right? Your KW email or your, God forbid, your free Gmail or your business related email that's outside of KW. So you're going to want to respond to that. KW provides for you 5,000 emails a month. If you're going above 5,000 emails a month, then you have to pay to increase your plan. 5,000 is a pretty big number. I send out a lot of emails each month, but I don't approach that number. But if you do, you'll know it and you'll have to increase that. KW does also plug into MailChimp. I don't train on this, but if you use MailChimp, you can make that integration into Command and do lists and things like that. These two function fairly similar. KW is making some enhancements that'll make that a little bit more streamlined, but Command Email will function very similar to MailChimp. If you have a MailChimp account, you may connect that and it'll function and pull data from Command for you. The last thing I'm going to touch on from the settings screen is Twilio, and we'll get into that a little bit more detail when we talk to smart plans, but a couple things of note. Twilio is kind of like, does anybody have a Google Voice number? Looking around, I'm seeing any heads going up there, but a Google Voice number is a free number. So I relocated here from Arizona in 2012. If you ever receive a phone call from me, you're going to see it's coming from a 480 number. But on my real estate signs, I had a 703 number, which was a Google voicemail. When I set it up, it was free. I think now they charge maybe $10 a year to have it. I'm not sure there, but it's a number that I can route through Google. Twilio is somewhat similar, although this is strictly for texting at this point. It's not for calling, it's for texting. So when you text, you can text directly out of Command. You can text from a smart plan. It'll auto-generate text that you've created and send things out to the consumer for you. This will come from a number that you will claim from Twilio, and you can get a 703 or a 571 or a 202. Now, there are only so many available, so you might not get the area code that you had hoped to attain. So you may have to use one or the other to what's available to you, claim a number. You cannot text from Command with your number, and that's not uncommon. Texting services typically don't work that way. And we'll talk in more detail about plans of how to do that successfully so people know it's you inside of smart plans. And then once you claim a number, you're going to subscribe to the Twilio service. They use what are called credits. So I think the lowest credit amount is $3 a month, and essentially gets you 300 credits or text messages per month. Now, there are different levels of text messages in that platform, and please read it and see clarification. But in a nutshell, there's SMS, there's MMS, and then there's long form. SMS is your standard text. That's 1 credit. So it's like a text for a text. That's up to about 165 characters. If you decide essentially you're writing an email, something really long as a text, then you'll get charged 2 credits, okay? Because they have to send a longer form. If you send what an MMS, which is multimedia, video, links, emojis, okay, then you'll get charged extra credits to do that. Now, there is a call forwarding option. I will encourage you all to make that connection. So what happens is if somebody calls you on that texting number, it will connect to your phone. So you can set that up. So it'll automatically forward to your phone, which is great, right? They charge you a certain number of credits to make that connection, and then so many credits per minute, which still is really, really cheap. I don't think you as an associate should get off the phone and call them back to save a couple of shekels, right? I think if an agent an associate, consumer, right word, consumer is reaching out to you and connected with you, just talk to them. Don't get off and try to call them back. Take the charge. It's not a lot. Okay. I think the next level of service for credits from $3 is $11, and that's like 1,500 credits a month. And the nice thing is that credits that are unused roll over from month to month. That's all spelled out under Twilio, but that in a nutshell is how that works. Okay. So make those connections, set all this up. Different apps as we go through them over the next couple of weeks. I'll reference this page back and forth. Okay. The next thing under settings I want to show you is from settings. Okay. On the left-hand side, there is a connect settings, and that's your marketing profile. That's your agent to consumer profile. I do want you to take the time today, if you haven't already done this, and set this up. Okay. Because this feeds every app that we talk about will pull from this page in one form or another. Headshots, logos, contact information. Some things are marked in with a red asterisk. It means you have to have that for this to work. Okay. Bio. This would be your agent to consumer bio, right? This is you connecting with the general public. That's what's happening here. Okay. Your brokerage information, social media connections, your legal footer for compliance essentially is this. Each office is independently owned and operated. That's what you're looking for there. We don't need a legal footer upload. There's nothing for us to add here in our region. Social media connections happen here. This Next step will be one of those things that if you use it, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. If you don't, well, then don't worry about it right now. If you use Pixel or Google Analytics tracking, you can put those authentication pieces in here to see your numbers on the back end. And then you'll have a branded app. Once you launch all that, we'll set that up here. So take the time to set up your marketing profile. And once you're done setting up, there's a toggle here. It says, use my information to brand on my agent site. I want you to turn that on. And when we set up your websites, it'll pull all this data across. And we'll also pull this data across when you're sending out emails and things like that. So that's important. Let's see if there's anything, there's nothing I missed there. Underneath settings again, you're gonna have command training. So if you actually click on that, this will bounce you back to KW Connect for different levels of training, okay? Also under command training, I didn't want to click on command training again, sorry. That's command training. And then you can log out of your platform. To the right of your name, you got this little question mark. That's where you're going to see additional, so guided tours. And you also saw this on any page that has a training element tied to it. You'll see this guided tour button. There's step-by-step on-page tutorials of what you can do here or what, you know, how to use the platform. They're adding these in more and more and more. And every time they make a new launch or enhancement that's something for you to do, you'll see a guided tour provided for you to walk you through that element. So that's what guided tours are. Okay. And then if I click on guided tours, they're working on, there'll be direct connect clicks here to go to different tours that you can take inside of Command. So that's something that's getting a refresh and a build out. KW University, that will be connected to articles inside of answers.kw.com. So I could search for a topic, okay? Below that, I can chat with support. Now, you'll type in a question and a bot will search for keywords and make recommendations. Hey, you're looking for answers on this, like we're seeing here, right? Or I could say get in touch, which would put me in the queue to hold till somebody connects with me. Or I could send them an email and say, get back to me when you can. And then post an idea is that direct connect link to ideas.kw.com, where you can go in and vote things up or make suggestions. And I take you to look for things first because there's a lot of things in here for enhancements to Command. So you can go ahead and vote for things. And then when you create something you want to get voted up, you essentially just take the links. Like if hey, this video capability was yours and you wanted to get that voted up, just copy that domain name at the top and advertise, hey, everybody go vote for this. We want this to happen. So you could share your insight with the masses, right? And crowdsource to get things voted up. So we're right 2 minutes long today. That is setting up your Command platform and tech orientation. I hope you guys found that valuable and helpful and filled in some of the gaps of what you know. But at this point, I can go to open mic and answer any questions or things that I didn't answer, or if MCTPs, is there anything in chat that we need to address?
Nothing in chat. I think there was one question, but Shirley was able to answer it.
Do any of you online, feel free to go open mic and you can hold your space bar down or just unmute yourself and ask a question. I'm here to help. If not, then this will be recorded and posted on the YouTube channel. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we will take a deep dive and we'll start working in the applets themselves and we'll start with contacts. Other than that, you are free to go.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, David.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.